Hi everybody, welcome to Nana's Play Park. Well, that's what my grandchildren call it anyway. It's really a play structure that we bought for the grandchildren and they love it. They love to play on it. But it was kind of hard to get here and get set up. When we bought it from neighbors down the road and we had to take it all apart and then load it into a trailer and then bring it to our place and set it back up again. Well, that was kind of difficult because there's a lower section down here that you can't really see. Let's see, can you see down here? Yeah, this is what they call their clubhouse under here. And then there's a little climbing area, and then there's this cool little clubhouse structure here with like a tent roof. And then there's a beam that goes along there, and there are 3 different swing sets. So it was pretty big and it was kind of difficult to put it all together. But we managed. When we got it to our place, we unloaded the trailer and piece by piece, we all took turns. We held a section of the play structure and my son-in-law nailed everything and screwed everything together, and then we had to place the tent-like roof on top. If we'd done any of those things out of order, then it wouldn't have gone together as well as it did, and it probably wouldn't have stayed together. And then it would be kind of shaky, and maybe it would even have fallen down. So we had to be really careful in what we were doing, and we all had to work together. There were 4 or 5 of us who put it all back together. And now it's good and sturdy, and we have a lot of fun here. You know, this example kind of reminds me of our Bible lesson today. In this particular verse in Mark, we're talking about Jesus, who was preaching to a group of people like he normally did, but everybody was fighting with each other and they were saying nasty things about Jesus. That's right, that wasn't very nice, was it? Well, even Jesus' mother and brothers came along and tried to take him away from what he was doing, and people questioned who his family was, and oh my goodness, it was so confusing. And Jesus finally said to the people, a house divided cannot stand. In other words, here were all these people at cross purposes trying to do different things. Nobody was working together. Nobody was listening to anybody else. And they were in chaos. And that's kind of what happens in our world when we don't work together, right? Like I was talking about this play structure. If we'd tried to put the roof on before we had this bottom part cemented in properly, it wouldn't have stayed. It might have blown off. Who knows what might have happened? Anyway, we all worked together and the play structure got built properly. But that was really Jesus' message, right? Is that we have to work together. And this whole bit about his mother and brothers coming to try to take him away from what he was doing, from all of his preaching, and he said, who are my mother and brothers? Well, what kind of a question is that? We know who's in our family. But Jesus said, no, you're not getting it. It's not just those specific people. Everybody is in God's family. You and I are in God's family. That means we have to get along. We have to get along with each other, with the people in our immediate family, and then with everybody in our big, wide community. And really, everybody in the world. My generation and the generations before haven't done a really good job about getting along. Now, this month, we're celebrating Pride Month for all of our LGBTQ friends. It's also Indigenous Heritage Month. And you guys probably know somebody who's First Nations, Inuit, Métis. We know that there have been the Black Lives Matter movement over the last year and how important that is. And what that teaches us is that these people are no different than us. They're no better, no worse. We're all part of God's family. And I think that's what Jesus is trying to tell us in this story, is that we have to listen to the Holy Spirit, to that little voice inside our head that says we're doing the right thing, or maybe we're not doing the right thing, and we need to change our behavior and act the way Jesus would have, the way that we would make God proud, right? And I just think with all these different people in the world, we seem to like to put labels on people, and then we consider them different from us. And that doesn't work. It hasn't worked in generations, and it's not working today. I think the only label that we need is God's label. God and Jesus tell us that we're all part of God's family. I think that's what we need to concentrate on, especially during Pride Month and Indigenous Heritage Month and any other month or week that we set aside to look at people who haven't always been treated properly. We need to remember we're all created in God's image and we're all part of God's big family. I think that is great news. I'm so glad to have a reason to celebrate. Have a great day, guys. See you later. Woohoo!